Welcome to We Chats, a space for people with diabetes, where we bring the experts to you. My name is Will, and I'm a diabetes specialist dietitian and co-founder of We Nutrition. And here at We Chats, we love having relaxed and fun conversations combining diabetes research, the experience of people living with diabetes, and the expertise of people working in diabetes. Welcome to this very special episode where we're doing things slightly differently because today I am joined by a very dear friend of mine and fellow co-founder of We Nutrition, Emma Jones. Welcome, Emma.
Hello, thank you so much for having me, Will. It's a pleasure to chat with you as always.
I'm very excited about today. I've been thinking, you know, we should have this chat for a long time, and we're finally here. We're doing it. We're doing it. So yes.
So,
Now, normally with WeChats, we introduce a topic around diabetes, a hot topic in diabetes. But today's going to be really special because we're getting to know you, Emma, and we're getting to know what's been happening and in how you've been in we nutrition, and what we've been doing together. We're kind of revealing, we're pulling back the curtains, we're giving people a sneak peek into the life at we nutrition.
yeah.
But I guess, just to start with, for people who are only just meeting you right now, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, what's going on in your world before we jump into your history?
Yeah, I'm Emma. I'm also a specialist dietitian, and I live in Gloucestershire with my family. So I have two young boys, and they keep me incredibly busy and incredibly tired a lot of the time. And yeah, they're obviously a big part of my world. But obviously, we moved between a year and 2 years or so ago. So it's been kind of trying to get settled into a new jobs for both myself and my partner, new sort of community, getting to know new people, a house that inevitably needs a little bit of redecorating and sorting through all the stuff that you seem to cart with you from one house move to another, and then you reflect back on and think, why am I carrying this around with me? So there's all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's sort of life at the moment. And then my eldest will be sort of going into school, and so there's going to be all the sort of juggling of school holidays, jobs, etc. So yeah, it's all kind of exciting and moving along, and yeah, sort of new adventures as well.
Fantastic. And I guess that might give people a little bit of insight into sort of, if they're familiar with the work that we do at We Nutrition, they might not have seen you as much at the front of We Nutrition, recently or in the past few years, because you've been very, very busy.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously I've got two children, and it kind of initially kind of took a step back from my nutrition with the first, and then the second came along. And I think it was just I found obviously a lot to juggle as well as working full time, and so having the flexibility to do stuff more kind of behind the scenes with nutrition just seemed to really fit with kind of family priorities and things like that. So yeah, I have certainly been less at the forefront of things, but yeah, kind of still sort of quietly in the back.
Absolutely. Always, always. And just to give people, that bit of insight, um, things have changed hugely for both of us over the past few years. I
Mhm.
think you definitely take the crown for the busiest person, but I don't know how you juggle it all, if I'm honest. But
Well, I mean, hopefully that's we're going towards a period of slightly more. I'm not going to say calm or predictability, but fewer big life events for sure.
yes.
So hopefully the crown will be very much passed on to you.
But I guess in all of this, you've always been, I've always been coming to you and sort of like we throw ideas around and we figure things out,
Yeah.
we figure out how we work and how we balance. And so you've always been in the background and there, and that's been a huge help for me. And yeah, I think we're about to step into another period of change, but I'm going to save that for later on.
Yeah.
um, so In the spirit of getting to know you a little bit more
Yeah.
today, Emma, I would like to take us back to before we first met, um, because we met a good few years ago now, but I'd like to go a little bit further back, and I would like to know if you can share with us and for listeners, what brought you to the world of dietetics initially?
Mm. So, I mean, I think I've got a story fairly similar to a few dietitians that I've heard. And sort of age 16, 17, 18, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Kind of had an interest in a few different areas and kind of, school subjects that I tend to be a bit better at than others. But yeah, really didn't know what I wanted to do, to the extent that I even did a UCAS application for accountancy in Manchester and then just never sent it because I thought, actually, I don't want to do that. Let alone if I'd have been any good at it or not. Um, and then I remember sort of being on the UCAS website and coming across dietetics, and I genuinely hadn't even heard of it before. None of like friends or family had, as far as I've known, sort of had any kind of encounters with dietitians at all. And the more I looked into it, I thought this ticks so many boxes for me. It's really kind of my love of, sort of things like nutrition based, but also working with people and the sort of biology, healthcare side of it as well. It really seemed to be something that I thought, gosh, that I'd really, really like to do that. And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, maybe I'm not going to be able to do it because I don't have chemistry A level. So yeah, thankfully there were still some unis that I was able to apply to, but I kind of missed that window to go at the same time as a lot of my friends. So did my applications a little bit later, worked for a year then after finishing school, and then went to start dietetics at the Uni of Surrey, and every single part of it really reinforced that this is what I want to do, but particularly the placements, and particularly I know they've changed names quite a few times now, but when I did it was the Arabian Sea,
Mm-hmm.
and particularly like the B placement and the C placement, those ones where you're there that much longer, you're really part of the team and you've got your own caseload and you're kind of doing the job. And that's kind of what you can imagine your day-to-day being like, minus the mountains of paperwork and evidence sort of thing, constantly. And I just thought, this is great. I really, really like this. So yeah, that's kind of what's continued really. Finished my degree and started looking for jobs and went into a classic sort of band 5 rotation, and it was quite intense, but yeah, just continued to really like the role that we play in healthcare.
Excellent, excellent. And I think, it's everything you're saying. I'm like nodding, I'm agreeing because I think dietetics is that beautiful blend of lots of different things. There's like the sciencey element, there's the people element, there's the food element, but it's so much to play
Yeah.
around in, which I think evolves over time. So thinking about evolutions, you've mentioned about going into a band 5, graduating, going into a band 5 rotation, which is absolute classical route.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that that was in Brighton?
It was, yeah. So there were three of us, three band 5s together, who all started within a couple of months of each other. And we're still really good friends to this day, which is so nice to have had that shared experience. And yeah, whenever the three of us get together and we reflect back on it, we just think, gosh, that was a bit crazy how much we had to do. But it was great fun. Obviously, Brighton's a really fun city to live in. But we had our 3 different rotations. I was given the clinic as part of mine. And it was that sort of classic one, which a lot of dietitians have done, where you get a half an hour for your news, 15 minutes for your reviews, and it's all very stressful and you're always running late, that sort of structure. But I just absolutely loved it. And it really highlighted the kind of difference between the inpatient and outpatient setting for me. And there were certainly different things that I enjoyed in different roles, but I remember it was a sort of novelty of it to begin with, where I'd go out to the waiting room and call someone's name and they'd come into a clinic room with me. I thought, this is mad. They trust me. But also being able to kind of put a plan into place for someone living their real life. You see what I mean? Rather than it being during an acute phase in hospital, I felt like I was really able to build that relationship with people over that longer period of time and get to know more about them, rather than kind of what the problems are acutely at this point. That being said, whilst I was in that job, I was also doing the sort of trauma dietitian role. So Brighton's one of the kind of major trauma centres in the south, and really enjoyed that as well because of the real sort of key role that you had within a team and the varied sort of people that you'd be seeing as well. You know, trauma can happen to anyone. So I really enjoyed that sort of mix of really sort of solid place within a team, but also the outpatient side of it. And I also, at my time in Brighton, got to spend some time with a really fab dietitian called Louise, who was doing the tier 3 weight management alongside a different dietetic role that she had. And so I said, I'd really love to come and spend a bit of time with you. And she was so generous with her time. Let me go and sit in with her and kind of would cover clinics for her when she was on annual leave. And it was just seeing dietetics in a completely different way when you're, afforded that luxury of time to really sit with someone, not just for your news, but for your follow-ups as well. Build that relationship, that trust with people, and so that you can really delve in deep and try and work with someone over that longer period, and just get to know someone. I was like, God, this is really good as well, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, my sort of time as in a band 5 position kind of came to an end, and I work then for a not-for-profit in Brighton, very much sort of community primary care, so quite a different switch up. Again, I really, really loved that job. And like Brighton and Hove Food Partnership, absolutely fantastic organisation where it was, so I would obviously in the nutrition team, we had a cookery team as well and a gardening team, and then we would all sort of interlink together. So you'd have people coming on sort of weight management courses, and then we'd connect with our sort of cookery team and be able to do a sort of cookery course for that group. So people will be able to kind of harness those skills. So people might but perhaps be feeling a little bit lost, and then have a few recipes they could do and practice cooking, and then you all sort of eat together at the end of it. And then it'd be literally stuff that was grown in the community gardens that would come into that. So it was a really lovely sort of holistic place to be working. So that was a really great experience, and kind of working with sort of GPs, schools, commissioners within that much more sort of primary care setting was really fantastic experience to kind of get an idea of things from the other side as well. So I feel really lucky to have had that experience outside of the NHS too.
But I'm hearing like this really strong thread of relationships with people. So whether it's relationships with the dietetic team, with the trauma team, or whether it's relationship with people that are coming to clinic, and then the relationships that you just talked about there that are maybe outside of the NHS as well. And there's that time piece. It's going on a journey with people that's really standing out as like early experiences. Like, this is great. When we have time with people, it's really great. You grow in a garden. That's not going to happen anytime quickly. It takes time. And it's like that with a lot of things that we do now. But I'm jumping ahead. Because I want to know what was your link into the world of diabetes then from all of that on the South Coast?
So I've been sort of in the realm of weight management, and obviously with that comes a fair bit of type 2 diabetes. And so I enjoy that more kind of scientific, angle to it. I guess more sort of looking at numbers and medications, and obviously the interaction with food choices that people make from a physical activity side of things, lifestyle, all of these components. And I've always felt that dietetics has such a strong place within the MDT for diabetes, where you can have so much influence with your patient group. I loved living in Brighton, absolutely loved it. But I had a lot of friends in London and wanted to have that experience of living in London. So when a job came up in King's College Hospital to do diabetes, I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. Went for it and was offered that. And so, yeah, obviously, new city, new job, new specialty. Here we go. And I think that was in 2016. I think it was. So obviously quite a while ago now. Ended up sort of working in diabetes. And I think one of the best things, I've actually advocated for this so much since working in diabetes, is that I think after the kind of compulsory first week, we do all your mandatory training and things like that. That I think it was the second week I worked there, I observed a Gaffney course. Mm-hmm. And that was great because I think it was a new specialty to me. So although, I knew a bit about diabetes, having that whole week to not only just learn the sort of patient management side of it, but also hear those discussions of people who are living with type 1 diabetes and then interactions with the healthcare professionals and all the discussion points that would come up, and looking at those blood glucose diaries with everyone else there and appreciating the complexity of it in real life was just completely invaluable. So I'm absolute advocate that if anyone gets a chance to observe any kind of structured education course, go and do it, because there's nothing like it. However much sort of clinic you do, it's just completely not the same. And that, I think, kind of really made me think, oh, this is really cool, actually. Again, thinking about all those things I've mentioned before about a real key role for dietetics, building those relationships with people, having a really sort of varied patient group that you're working with. And particularly in King's, I found the structure really great in that it was a really kind of flat profile where everyone could approach anyone. It's a teaching hospital, so expect people to be learning all the time, which was great for me, being very junior, but also really fantastically well-respected diabetes centre. So it was, a real privilege to work with some of the people that we've worked with. So it ignited a lot of passion in me, thinking, I think I've really found what I love here.
Excellent. And that is, of course, where you and I met at
Yes.
King's Hospital. And I'd probably been in post maybe 18 months, maybe 2 years. And so, I was new to London. I'd got settled in a little bit. You were new to London. But as you say, like, it's a massive teaching hospital, and it is, there's some, well, there were when we were, and there still are, big names there in the world of diabetes, heavy-hitting researchers and people at the top of their game. What was your first impressions of entering, that realm?
For me, I don't think I'd appreciated it before I started. I remember going on a bit of a tour around the department, and a manager saying, okay, so behind this door is this incredibly well-regarded professor. I don't know who that is. But the more I sort of started working within the area, and if you look at research papers, you think, oh, that's that person, that's the person in the MPT. Wow, okay. And then obviously as on platforms that we'd use like ABCD and DTN, and then there's lots of familiar faces on there. You think, wow, okay. Starting to get a bit of an idea of who we're working with here. But I mean, that being said, everyone still is, wherever I encounter people that we've worked with in King's, incredibly friendly and approachable, obviously super knowledgeable, and just complete experts within their field. But it never actually felt daunting, if that makes sense. That's not because I'm a super confident person, but actually it's just because, to put yourself in this group, everyone was very ready to support me and help me and guide me, and happy to have someone else in the team as well. So it always felt very welcoming, and it always felt like a real privilege to work with a lot of people, like I say, yourself included.
Oh, I'm still in awe of the team that we work with, because it was so amazing and very much similar to you. I came to it and I was like, okay, well, I know it's a big hospital. I know it's a big teaching hospital. I know it's a big dietitian team. I don't really know the diabetes team that much, but the more you get to know, you're like, oh my days. And we used to have, now correct me because I might be misremembering here, but we had Monday morning meetings, and we had, was it Thursday afternoon meetings?
Big Thursday afternoon, yeah, we definitely, yeah.
Was there a Wednesday meeting as well?
There was a Wednesday one as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember going to those meetings, and the room was full. You've got professors, consultants, psychiatrists, psychologists, dietitians, nurses, support workers, like the room is full to the rafters. This could be a ticketed event at Monday morning at 8:30, and these, they are tearing apart research and really interrogating it, and presenting ideas, and it was amazing. But to what you were saying, it wasn't it wasn't scary, because as long as you showed up and you were just willing to give it a try, everyone was really accepting.
Yeah.
And it was just that ethos of, let's try, let's see what we can do. And that was so infectious.
Mm.
Just really. So it sounds like you found diabetes and you were drawn in, and then
Yeah.
it had got you.
Yeah, completely. And I found it really refreshing to be able to focus on things that perhaps weren't traditionally within a dietitian role as well. I think coming from particularly like, working on the wards where it's anthro, bio, clinical requirements, you kind of follow that structure, and it's fairly rigid, I would say. Like, there's obviously a job that needs to get done. Whereas I found working in outpatients in type 1 diabetes was much more free flow as to where's the conversation going to take us. And it's, oh, you're working on running your first 5K, fab, let's spend the time working on that. Oh, you're trying to get pregnant, great. You're going to Glastonbury, great. Let's think about how we can help you with that. And it would be really just focusing on what that person with type 1 diabetes wants to have that support with. And that was great. That was really refreshing. And I think us being able to be really adaptable and flexible and use our skills and experience, because ultimately when you're living with type 1 diabetes, the insulin and food are going to be such big parts in that. So we would always have a really big part to play, and people would really respect our input, and our input was really sought in the team. And obviously the more you do it, the more experience you get from people living with type 1 diabetes, more ideas, but also such a rapidly moving field in terms of technology, and wow, still is, just keeps picking up speed. So that made it also really exciting that there was problems that potentially could be getting solved really soon, or perhaps not solved, but maybe some partway solutions that might make things a little bit easier. I think also it gives you a real empathy for people living with a chronic condition as to just how many decisions people are making every single day. I think working with people with type 1 diabetes has definitely helped make me a better clinician as well.
I think there's there's so many skills that are acquired and developed in that sort of work environment, and sort of I remember for me it was very much my first time thinking, oh, actually there are some really advanced roles that we can have as dietitians, and like you say, food goes into everything. So it's a common thread, but whether we're talking about sensors or insulin pumps or insulin injections or weight management or pregnancy or sports, going on holiday, dietitians have input in all of that, and there's a real central role there for dietitians to play. Now I don't know if you remember us meeting. With any particular first impressions?
So I remember seeing you for the first time. It wouldn't really classify as a meeting, but it was when I was waiting to be interviewed, and I saw you. I think there aren't loads of male dietitians. It's a very female dominated industry. I remember you coming in to do some kind of admin task, maybe some photocopying or collecting some printing, something like that. And you were chatting to the people who were working in the office, and then everyone was having a great laugh. And I thought, oh, he seems really nice. and then, obviously I got put on a chair next to you. Like, this is Will. I was like, oh, the nice guy from the office. Great. And that was just the start of it, really. That was great, because you essentially had my sort of like buddy, informally or formally, perhaps. I don't know if it was formally, but I definitely treated you as my point of contact for any question. But no, it was really great, because I think we found quite a lot of stuff in common, as well as obviously our chosen sort of specialty in our place of work. But outside of that, we found, I think, quite a lot of common ground. And so it made it very easy to get on. And, but it's like when you start somewhere new and you think, I don't know what that person's name is, or they've asked me to meet them there and I don't know what that is. And actually, I've just seen a patient and I don't really know actually if there's a lot of things I might have missed out, and maybe I want to give them a call and can we talk through this? And by having that really easy, open relationship, it just made working with you such a treat. So yeah, I was the lucky one to be sat next to you, basically.
Well, I think I was equally as lucky, if not more lucky, because I remember there was a hype about you before you started. Um, I remember there was a conversation because we were sort of going through a time of change, and I remember someone being like, this person's coming, Emma. She's really really cool. I think gonna be amazing. And then you came, and yes, you were amazing. And when things just slot together so well, and I just remember thinking like, changes. We work in the game of change, don't we? Change is difficult and it's uneasy, and sometimes your shoulders are up here. I remember you coming in, and my shoulders just went, ah, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. So we worked together for, it was just a year, wasn't it?
It was actually only a year, yeah.
Oh,
I
oh,
know.
but I remember we were talking about doing this episode, and I was like, no, 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 we were working together for like, 4 years, 5 years. And I was, and you were like, no, Will, it was only a year contract. But it felt like so much longer.
Mm.
But I remember distinctly when your contract came to an end and we weren't working together every single day, I was like, no, absolutely not. This can't be it. And I remember I used to walk to work and we'd exchange podcast recommendations,
Mm.
and we do that like every single day. Like, have you heard this episode? Have you heard this episode? Have you heard this episode? Oh my god! And I was like, this can't be it. This can't be. I'm not having the NHS tear us apart.
It can't separate us.
So that's kind of when we came to We Nutrition.
Yeah.
Um, I I sort of remember being really scared about talking about this with you, because I was like, Emma's just going to shoot. Not that you would shoot me down, but like, I was like, what if she says no? I think it was the fear of saying no, because I was like, I'm not accepting the fact that we're not working together every day. I'm not having it. I need to make this happen. But if Emma says no, then I'm gonna have to accept it. I'm just gonna have to accept it, and that's how life is gonna be. Um, but yeah, should we share the story of how we came to be? We Nutrition came to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you said, it's funny to me to think of you being a bit worried about asking me that, because I think like quite a few dietitians, you sort of contemplate the land of private and kind of going freelance and thinking what that's going to be like. And actually, when I started at King's, I was only on 4 days a week. And with it being a temporary contract, I thought, right, okay, it's going to be my time to like do something a bit on the side. But then I kind of felt like, right, I'm going to try and immerse myself completely in it and just get as good as I can at that job. And then they actually offered me a fifth day. So that one day disappeared. But it had been something I'd been thinking about before anyway. And I'm trying to think about when it was that we had that conversation, because we sort of officially in 2019, wasn't it?
Hmm.
So there was definitely a little bit of time between me leaving and that kind of officially starting. I'm trying to think, do you know when it was that we actually met
So
to talk
I
about it?
I think it officially started 2017.
Did it?
I want to say, because we've legally, I'm sure I've got a certificate from Company's House at 2017.
Really? Well, I'm just not thinking straight.
Or
If you
maybe
say so, this is the way it work. Right.
Should have
I'm
got
trying to think
our
because
dates figured out before, shouldn't we?
it's been a while. So,
Yeah,
and it was definitely after I left, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was 2017. So some point, yeah, it could well have been in 2017 then. Anyway, so there was a point between COVID and after me leaving Kings
Uh-huh.
that that you got in touch and you said, would you like to go out for dinner? And I said, love to. I love dinner. I love dinner with you. Let's go out. Definitely. And yeah, we were on Clapham High Street
Hmm.
having dinner. And obviously just like normal chit chat, chit chat. And then you broached the idea of doing something together.
Hmm.
And I thought it was genuinely really exciting because there's so many pros to working as a team, and as well as sort of working with someone you know you work well with,
Hmm.
because it's, I think, I just said kind of toyed with the idea of it before, but was never able to really find the headspace, the energy, however to put it, to kind of get myself together to do it by myself. And it's lots to think about, as well as sort of the very sort of initial things like the name, the branding, the company's house, the accountancy, the legal bit of it, let alone how am I going to go and find people and sort of market myself. And yeah, it's that I did find quite daunting. So when I've got someone like yourself who's a generally very sort of motivated person, someone I work really well with, I was like, we could do something really good here. So yeah, I was never in any kind of doubt at all.
And I'm so glad you said yes. Wait, and was it Mummo on the high street?
Yeah, yes, it was.
It was, I want to say Peruvian sushi. There was
Yeah,
ceviche on there.
yeah.
Um, and I'm a plain and simple northern boy. So when someone said Peruvian sushi to me, I was like, "Ooh, fancy!" um, so yeah, I was like, let's go to try
Mm,
this. I think it was relatively new at the time, and yes, I remember now. It definitely was 2017, um, because of who else we were working with um, at the time, and I know, if anyone's listening and ever started a business, they probably appreciate how much work it is.
mm,
It's getting registered, getting legal, getting your marketing, getting an email address set up. Um, you know, and for us, we would like, what sort of work are we going to do? It's clearly going to be in the world of diabetes, but there's so much like, where do we go? What do we do? And I
mm.
remember we used to have. We used to have like weekend dates at like
Yeah,
a it's like a working space. So you'd go and
yeah.
hire a desk, and for like, I don't know, it was like £12 an hour, you'd get a free coffee chucked in as well. And we used to go to one in Battersea, and this was before the new power station was built. Um,
Yeah.
and it used to be reasonable prices because no one was really doing a lot of remote working. So we would go in
Mm.
and, we'd find somewhere that did free coffee and free biscuits. Um, and we just set to work, didn't we? And just sort of figured it
Yeah.
out as we went along. Um, and then, and just to colour in the picture a little bit more, at this time you'd changed to another London hospital, but still
Sorry, yeah.
in the area of diabetes. Um,
Very much, yeah.
so we were living near each other. So we were still both in the world of diabetes, a few miles apart in terms of living together. We're living near each other, working near each other, and then we were like, right, let's do it. Um, was there anything about going freelance that especially spoke to you? When we were thinking about doing renutrition, was there anything that was like, oh my God, this is what I want to focus on?
Yeah, definitely. I think, by that point, I'd had that much more experience clinically with the sort of patient group that we were going to be looking at. And as with working in any kind of scenario, there's always sort of frustrations that crop up, both for yourself and the people that you're working with, whether it be the time of day for appointments, or whether it be the frequency of appointments or the length of appointments, or perhaps being able to go and see people in their own home, or things that you think, oh, if we could just bridge that gap, we might be able to gather a bit of momentum and actually affect the change that we're looking to actually do here. And I'd always found when we're able to do that for whatever, in whatever capacity for whatever patient, that actually it would be so much more meaningful. And so I felt like it would be a really good way to offer our services. And, you know, we do some really, really amazing things with people, I think, within the NHS. And a lot of people get a lot out of it. But as with many services, you know, capacity is strained. And I used to encounter people who would say, you know, can I just go private? Can I see someone else about this who will see me more quickly? Because I'd be able to say, well, I can't offer you an appointment for X number of weeks, months, typically. And so kind of working around that limitation, thinking, wow, if we could open this up and support people, we could really do something great. That was something that I thought would be a really good part of it. And that was just from the kind of one-to-one side of it with people, but also being able to work on different sort of projects as well. And I think that we've done some really cool stuff since being with since working together. And I think some of it was things that I thought perhaps I would never have imagined that we would have done, but it's definitely opened up things such as, you know, carb counting events, with the rest of the menu for events rather, and then going to some of those events, and things like working with companies like the BDA, so the British Dietetic Association, working with companies who want our input in terms of how to make things more perhaps diabetes friendly in terms of their menu offering. And so it's been wide and varied, as well as doing things like podcasts, like articles for magazines and things like that. So it's a real sort of pleasant mix to add into your sort of professional workload, which has been really refreshing.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, you're sharing about accessibility there. Like, we were doing video consultations way before everybody else was during COVID. You know, we used to do, you know, we'd do home visits, and we used to do hotel visits. We'd go to some really fancy hotels in London, and
Not
we'd
to
hire
stay.
not to stay, and we'd have some clinic spaces, but it was that accessibility. It was the, you know, for the person who is working sort of 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, it's having that ability to get that professional support around diabetes early mornings or in the evenings or at weekends. I guess that's what was really coming out of We Nutrition. And I think for me, it was about the time. It was not being tied down and trying to cram really complex, important topics and conversations into a 15-minute window or a 30-minute window. And if you've got something to talk about with someone, and it's really getting that change that you spoke about, the results that we know can happen, if that takes 2 hours, it takes 2 hours. And it's having the luxury of time to do that with somebody. I think that's really what I've found is one of the beautiful things about We Nutrition. You've mentioned some of the projects that we've done as well.
Yeah.
I remember your name being printed in a magazine for the first time, and I just lost it, completely lost it. I was like, sending photos to everybody. I want to say that was it the Holland and Barrett magazine? Was that your first one?
Yeah, it was
So
to do with I think it was doing like managing a hangover or something drink related anyway. Yeah. I remember seeing, obviously it was a real novelty sort of seeing my name there, but the bit I really loved was seeing We Nutrition underneath it. Oh, that's us, that's what we've made.
yeah, and then we once went to a they're not called JDRF anymore. They're called
Breakthrough, isn't it?
Breakthrough. Yeah, but back when the charity was JDRF, we went to one of their galas, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we got all dressed up and went to a gala because we had carb counted the food for the event.
Yeah.
which was
It
really
was
cool.
great fun. Really, really good fun for us as well. I mean, like, obviously such an important part when you've got an event where a lot of people there are going to be carb counting. How great to have the carbs on the menu for every single little picky bit that you might have, or slightly larger bit that you might have. You know exactly what you're getting because we've carb counted it. So you know.
Absolutely. And we've also done things like podcasts. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember in lockdown, in that beautiful summer, we were sat in my back garden recording a podcast, and I hadn't accounted for the fact that planes were flying overhead.
Oh yeah.
I
But
think
it's
it
hard
was,
to find a
yeah,
quiet place in London, isn't it?
yeah. It was my first podcast, so the world must have opened up because there were planes flying overhead. But it was that summer where weren't going many places, and yeah, I've been like so sorry. I remember this for future podcasts.
Yeah, there's a massive jumbo jet just coming into Heathrow. Sorry about that.
And then we wrote our first book in
Yeah,
lockdown as well. Our
yeah,
first two books in lockdown.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, any other sort of wee nutrition highlights that spring to mind for you?
It's funny to kind of keep thinking of them all, but I mean, I think certainly like working with certain patient groups, I found really fulfilling. I
Mm,
mean, and particularly when, for example, we have someone who comes to us wanting a bit of support during their pregnancy, whether that be gestational type 1, type 2, and then in a couple of years they come back again.
yeah.
That's great. That's really magic because, I mean, what's a stronger recommendation than another self referral? They've obviously found it really so useful that they want to do it all over again. So that sort of thing I think is real sort of magic. I also really like the project sort of stuff as well. I mean, I remember doing a project for a company looking at education for women post GDM. And that was really great to be able to do a sort of trawl through what is being offered, what's working, both in a face-to-face capacity, groups, one-to-ones, remote, app-based. And obviously, this is the way that a lot of healthcare is going at the time now. But this was quite a while ago now. It's obviously established that I'm not that so hot on dates, so I won't try and guess a date. But it was a while ago. And yeah, that was really great being able to kind of present this report and saying, this is where we're at. This is what I'd recommend in terms of going forward. Being able to work in that real kind of like consultancy role and say, look, this is where we're at right now. So that was great. But I think, as I said, in terms of what brought me to dietetics, it's working with people. So if I feel like what we do can make a difference to someone, it's always going to be that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I'm there, right there with you. Absolutely. The projects are really fun. They're
Mm,
awesome. But I think pregnancy as well, when you support someone through pregnancy and then they come back for their next pregnancy,
mm,
or if you're working with someone with diabetes, or maybe there's something else that we're supporting with which is in that world, and
yeah.
they're able to then go and have those life events. Someone was texting me pictures of their wedding recently, and they were like, I wouldn't be here today, I wouldn't be able to do this, and then think about planning for a pregnancy without the work that we did together. And I was like,
Oh,
oh my god, it's it's one of the best feelings. The best feelings.
definitely, that's just magic, isn't it? Like that someone's been able to go out and do something that's hopefully relatively normal almost. Like somebody would expect, yeah, I could go and do that, I could go and get married. But obviously that's causing concerns and worries, and you can completely understand why. But then to be able to go through with that and be like, you were so integral in getting that to happen and happen well is just amazing.
Yeah. So we want lots more of that going forward for We
Yeah.
Nutrition. We want to, have more amazing, beautiful success stories working with people. Is there anything that you would like to see, especially other than that, in the future with We Nutrition?
I mean, we're always open to sort of hearing about different projects that people want our input on. I think, as I said, there's always stuff that perhaps we hadn't even considered
Mm,
would be a potential project, and we think, actually, yeah, that sounds great. Let's give that a go. So there's any of that sort of stuff I'm very open to and very excited about. I think having started a new job again, where my specialty has slightly changed,
mhm.
although I still I'm always very excited to see someone with diabetes. You can't get that out of me. it's not the kind of be all that I have at the moment. So I think bringing my sort of new specialist area into wee nutrition could definitely be something in terms of our sort of offering that we're doing looking forward.
Mhm. I'm so excited for this. This feels like, I mean, I love diabetes. I love the world of diabetes, and I love being
Mm.
in this space. But you're diversifying here. So would you feel okay sharing with us about what's happening with professional life now?
Yeah, certainly. So I started a new job almost a year ago now, actually.
Mhm,
So it's only 50% clinical, which feels like a really big shift when you go from being almost entirely clinical. So I
mhm,
have to kind of keep very tight boundaries on that. And it's 50% service development. So I'm helping to set up a new service for steatotic liver disease. So it's, as I said, that bit of a certainly a step away from type 1, but still has quite big overlaps with type 2 diabetes. So we're looking, it's a very much a preventative role. So looking at supporting people when they're in this, what we call like a bit of an amber cohort, where your liver's showing signs of fibrosis or mild scarring. So it's not happy, but we're not at the point of cirrhosis where there's some scarring that can be not reversed. It's irreversible. So the role that I've got is to try and help people when we're at that point where we can undo the damage, and diet has a huge role to play in that. So in the UK at the moment, there's no medications which are licensed specifically for that. There's medications obviously that are licensed for conditions associated with it, such as diabetes, such as weight, blood pressure, cholesterol levels. But dietary intervention is the only thing shown to actually reverse that fibrosis in the liver. So we know that there's a huge numbers of the population worldwide living with what used to be called NAFLD, and now is
mhm,
called MASLD. So it's metabolic associated rather than just non-alcoholic. So really recognizing the role that our metabolism plays in it rather than it just being not caused by alcohol, so to speak, which is a much better name, even if it is a bit of a mouthful.
mhm.
So yeah, really kind of looking at that patient group and seeing what we can do. So it's very much in its infancy at the moment. But it's really exciting actually to be going back towards the primary care side of things, and yeah, really working with people. And I kind of said I've had the luxury of developing it myself. I've given myself a bit more time with people as well to really get to know them, because I just really feel that that's absolutely vital. There's no point being in a rush and then sending someone out the door because they're not going to get the most out of it. I'm not going to be able to work with someone as well as I could. Yeah, we want to be able to prove it's an effective intervention. So watch this space, but that's something that I think a lot of our sort of potential patient group could be looking for some support with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so exciting. And I was at a conference recently and we're talking about liver disease with type 2
Mm.
diabetes. And like you mentioned, a lot of people might have heard this called NAFL.
Mm.
It's had a little bit of a rebrand recently.
Yeah.
Um, but it's I think this is going to be a huge area of focus for people with type 2 diabetes. We know that in type 2 diabetes, it's really easy to miss the liver results or even do
Mm.
the liver results in the first place, but it is part of that annual package of care.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's going to be a huge conversation going forward. So, I mean, if it's okay with you, Emma, we'll have to do another episode where we delve into the world of liver disease and diabetes, if that's okay.
My absolute pleasure. Yes, definitely.
Excellent, excellent, fantastic. But I would say, what we nutrition. I think we're nearly at our 10-year anniversary. I
Wow.
think.
Yeah. We'll have to celebrate.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and that will be a weekend somewhere in a spa, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We need to be able to relax and yeah, just be near a pool, a body of water.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
But we can celebrate all the amazing things that we've achieved with people, and we
Mhm.
can plan out for all the future successes and amazing things that we're going to get to do with We Nutrition. And quite frankly, there's no one else I'd rather do it with, so thank you.
Oh, same. Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about you. It's been saying, I love Will, this is a chat.
The feeling is mutual. And I quite often have to explain to people that, you know, we're not together romantically. And when I say Emma, my partner, I always forget the business partner bit. So I'm like, oh yeah, my partner Emma, but she does have another partner, and she does have children, and I have another partner. And you know, just explaining that difference.
Yeah. No, she's not polyamorous. Sorry, I've led you down this path. Sorry.
Oh, well, Emma, thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. Hopefully, people are leaving this episode of We Chats knowing you a little bit better, and looking forward to seeing more of you in We Chats, and maybe with our business diversifying as well. See a bit more of you then.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so, for anyone listening, if you want to keep up on the latest topics with diabetes, if you're interested in what we're doing at We Nutrition, then please make sure that you follow our socials at We Nutrition UK. You can find our podcasts available on anywhere that you get podcasts, really, but you can also see a video version on YouTube channel. And if you do have any questions, then please submit them. You can send us a direct message on Instagram or Facebook, or you can email us at hello@wenutrition.co.uk. And if you want to book an appointment with us, you can go to our website, wenutrition.co.uk. And we look forward to speaking with you at another episode of We Chats.